Batman v Superman was a mess. It was a big, depressing, exhausting mess. Whoa. Hey, wait, hold on. Just hear me out for a minute. Look, my goal isn't to convert everyone into haters. If you love this movie, then you loved it, and that's totally fine. I love shitty movies too. The difference is, I acknowledge their faults. Hey, come on now. Listen, all I want to do is help everyone to accept what this movie is. How you choose to feel about it afterwards is completely up to you. Now, I'm not just some jaded fan who went in with high expectations and got burned. No, I learned my lesson after Man of Steel. Though there was a brief moment when I was actually getting pretty excited.
Clark Kent, Daily Planet.
What's your position on the Bat Vigilante in Gotham?
Ooh, you know what? I'm actually kind of digging this interaction.
Boys, Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent. I love it. I love bringing people together.
Okay, I mean, that's certainly a different Lex, but I mean, they're interacting and I can really feel the tension here. This won't be too bad. Whoa now. Hey, slow down a little bit. You don't need to show me too much. Okay, well, now I know how the whole movie plays out. So because people were already pensive about the movie, they decided it was important to lay out the entire outline in the trailer. Great job, guys. It totally doesn't look like you're panicking at all. And let me get this out of the way now. Yes, I enjoy Marvel movies, but I'm not just going to waste your time comparing everything to what Marvel does, though I may bring them up once or twice. I don't just want them to copy Marvel. My issue is just that WB decided to push out this messy, bloated movie that people seem to just blindly praise as brilliant. Guys, this movie is the farthest thing from brilliant, and I'm gonna prove it. Isn't it a little baffling that WB allowed things to come to this? I mean, this is the studio that took Tim Burton off of Batman after Batman Returns because they thought he made it too dark. But then they gave him Superman. You know what? Maybe this is just part of the course for him. Though WB clearly was not happy with this movie. I have a feeling the private viewing was something similar to the one for The Phantom Menace. People just sitting there in an awkward silence, trying to come up with excuses for why the movie works. It's the same shit here. And people who like the movie seem to aggressively protect it and attack anyone against it and call them corrupted or part of an agenda or just write them off as Marvel fans.
Is there still a bias in the media and the industry, the Hollywood movie industry, when it comes to the DCEU? Yes, I still believe that there is.
Why the fuck do you think there's an actual conspiracy surrounding the hate towards this movie when everybody loved the Dark Knight trilogy? Well, I mean, at least two of them. I mean, I like the third one, but some people just gotta nitpick the shit out of everything. My point is, the negative feelings people have towards this movie aren't just coming from nowhere.
But Genki, what about the extended cut? This is how it was meant to be showed. It's even better now.
No. In fact, I'd say it makes it worse. Yeah, I'll admit that the extended cut does give the story some much needed structure, filling holes here and there, but an extra 30 minutes does not fix this movie's inherent problems. I can't help but bring up The Phantom Menace as an example again. See, with that movie, George Lucas realized at the end of the process that he needed to cut content, but couldn't.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
Because it was so ingrained and vital to the narrative he presented.
I mean, I've thought about this quite a bit, and the tricky part is you almost can't take any of those pieces out of there now. Because each one kind of takes you to the next place, and you can't jump because you don't know where you are.
Pulling it out ruined the movie's structure, so he left it in. So does that mean the movie was good? No, it just wasn't fractured. But Zack Snyder isn't George Lucas. He's got to bend to the studio's will and had to chop out 30 minutes of his movie despite the fact that it was needed for its structure. So having it put back in doesn't just suddenly fix everything. You don't need to apologize to this guy because he made his movie less fractured. I really think that a lot of people just wanted to like this movie because it's something we've been teased with for ages. And then we finally get it, and WB shits the bed. But we don't want to act like it's shit in the bed. No, this is comfy. I like this. It's good. And then the film gets a slight glimmer of improvement and others force themselves into the group that likes it. It's okay, guys. The movie is still bad, and we're gonna look at the problems that make it bad. Problem number 1, Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder doesn't give 2 shits about Superman or Wonder Woman or the Justice League. The only thing he has remotely any interest in is Batman. But even then, it's not regular Batman, it's this hyper-violent and angry Batman he claims exists in The Dark Knight Returns. Now, I love The Dark Knight Returns, so I'm actually quite confused as to why he and many others think that The Dark Knight Returns Batman was just super violent without reason. It's like everyone kind of remembers the violence, but not the context. Rubber bullets. Like the part where Batman beats the shit out of the mutant leader. We don't know if he actually kills the guy or not, but look. He showed up in a fucking tank, but then he got out of it to beat the guy up. Why? Because he needed to dissolve the gang. He had to beat their leader in a show of power to get them to break up.
The mutants are dead. This is the new face of the law. We are the sons of Batman.
I'm sure some of his anger came out in that fight as the character has evolved based on his environment, but it isn't needless. Okay, well, maybe they're thinking about the part where Batman's hunting down the Joker, but he wasn't actually trying to kill the Joker. Because of the situation and Batman's personal regrets, he decides he needs to paralyze the Joker in order to stop him, not kill him. What happens next is that a civilian sees this and assumes it was murder. So the Joker seals Batman's fate by finishing the job himself. He's not going around smashing his Batmobile into people's faces. Hell, even Batman and Superman's fight is the result of completely different circumstances. In The Dark Knight Returns, Superman has developed this corrupted sense of justice in the sense that he thinks he needs to follow the government's rules and play their game. The government doesn't like what Batman's doing, so they stick Superman on him. Whereas in Batman v Superman, the roles are actually reversed. Batman and the government think Superman's out of control. But where Dark Knight Returns gave us clear reasons for everyone's motivations and showed a battle of values, Batman v Superman's character motivation is mostly based on confusion, misunderstandings, hypocrisy, and just general stupidity. But of course, knowing Snyder, he probably just stared at the pictures and ignored all the subtext. Actually, I'm almost positive he hasn't cracked open any mainstream DC comics. You know, since he said he's only interested in comics with violence and sex. Or maybe it's the fact that he thinks the thing that will give Batman the dark edge he needs is some nice prison raping. Or maybe it's how he claims superheroes can't hold serious conversations in costumes because the audience won't take them seriously.
The teaser confrontation.
Do you bleed?
After the Batmobile, yes, do you bleed? You will. And I really, and we designed that. And then, of course, they have the Lex's party. Yes. And so you have these kind of, I kind of came to the conclusion also that they couldn't really talk in their suits with any credibility. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We had to get them back in their civvies. You know, if they're like more than 4 or 5 lines, and you start to notice, like, wait, these are 2 guys dressed up. One guy's dressed up like a bat, and the other one has a big red S on his chest, and they're being super serious about how mad they are at each other. And it just, you can, you know, it's a dangerous thing, you know.
This was the man they decided to put in charge of the DC Extended Universe. This guy, right here, Mr. Fuck Batman right in the ass. After this guy got hired to make Man of Steel, he probably went home and said, "With Superman, I'm not reading this pansy shit. Where's the tits? Is he gonna rip someone's head off or fuck Lois on a desk? This is boring. I'm gonna go watch the Star movies 50 times. Are you fucking kidding me? This shit comes out so clearly in his DC movies. In the Man of Steel, they just could not bear to call him Superman.
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S.
Well, here it's an S. How about...
Sure.
And then, in Batman v Superman, they took every opportunity to not say Batman.
Bat Vigilante. Bat Vigilante.
The Bat, Bruce.
Batman.
Yeah, Snyder is too afraid to have people in his super serious comic book universe refer to someone with a silly comic book name, despite these names being, you know, in the motherfucking title. Look, I know Batman has multiple titles, but holy shit, they are clearly going out of the way to not call this guy by his actual name. Okay, now, I know I sound mad, but I don't actually hate Snyder. Yeah, no, really. I thought the Watchmen movie was alright beyond some of the worst soundtrack choices I've ever heard.
For the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah.
And I love 300. Honestly, I think that he's a fantastic visual director, but he is the absolute worst at telling a story. Case in point, Sucker Punch. This movie was all Snyder. Writer, producer, director, all from his brain. It's like he went,
man, I have a cool idea for an action scene where a giant samurai statue is attacking some little schoolgirl, but I do not know how to write a full story for that. Ah, fuck it. I will throw it on my pile of cool action scenes I can't write full narratives for.
And then he decided to throw all those ideas into a script and tie them together with some stupid shit about a girl forced to dance. Oh, but by the way, that character the entire movie focuses on from scene one isn't the main character. It's this person because something deep blah blah bullshit. I would rather Snyder be responsible for visualizing action scenes than being in charge of an entire script or a film universe. The reason why 300 and Watchmen were halfway decent was because he had very direct source material to work from, and he probably actually read them since they have his two favorite things. But with these DC movies, he's crafting his own story. Now, I know he's not the writer for all these movies, but as the director, he has the strongest pull in the direction he wants things to go. So that's our first problem. This was the wrong motherfucker to put in charge of things. Thanks, Christopher Nolan.